It's a day of top-level talks in Kabul, our convoy under the protection of Australian commandos who can't be identified. Our itinerary, a closely guarded secret. With the Defence Minister and Chief of Defence on board, we're a high-value target, but it's a crucial time for the war. The drawdown is imminent and there's still much to figure out, so meetings must be held face-to-face. Here at the Presidential Palace with Hamid Karzai to discuss the uncertain future of his country.
We've been here a long time, and we've been here in some respects too long, in part caused by what I describe as the Iraq distraction. And so when people look back, the Australian community, they will see how we leave, they'll remember how we leave.
There's also a meeting with the chairman of the Peace Council, Salahuddin Rabbani. His father, a former president, had the role until last year when he was assassinated for his efforts. Now his son continues the work, trying to convince the Taliban to end the violence.
It's not just about security, it's about trying to have peace and reconciliation talks with those members of the Taliban who are prepared to throw down their arms and their weapons.
After more than a decade of war, the vast bulk of Australia's 1,550 soldiers will be home by Christmas. Exactly which month isn't yet clear, but the priority is to try and ensure they all make it alive. There has been, as usual, a lull in the violence over the winter months, but the fighting season is almost upon us and no one expects a friendly parting gift from the Taliban. David Lipson, Sky News, Afghanistan. Minister, thanks for your time today.
Pleasure.
You've had a chance to speak to Karzai, to ISAF, to your own generals over the last couple of days. Do you have any more of an idea exactly when the drawdown will begin, when it will end this year?
Well, there's no doubt that both in Oresgon and in Afghanistan generally, transition is on track. So we are absolutely confident that by the end of this year, we would have been able to transition security responsibility to the Afghan National Security Forces. And of all of the visits I've been on to either here, Tarin Kot, or to Kabul, there's never been a visit where all of the conversations have been about the end of transition and what we might do after 2014. But we still need to take it step by step, but we are absolutely confident that we can transition in Oresgon by the end of this year.
What about the hardware? You mentioned that in your speech just a couple of minutes ago. What's going to happen to it?
Well, it'll be a mixture. There's an enormous amount of kit, and so people will have to come in, be deployed temporarily to do the very big logistical exercise of making judgments about whether stuff can be left behind, whether it has to go home, or whether it needs to be destroyed. That's a very big logistical exercise. There'll be some equipment which it's appropriate to leave behind either for the Afghans or for other international colleagues. But because it is such a big exercise, we just need, again, to take that step by step. But some will be repatriated home, some will be destroyed on site, some will be gifted. And the sites that we have used, they will also be handed over to the Afghans or remediated if they're of no future use for the Afghans themselves.
The Afghans have said they want enablers, they want helicopters and the like. Are you confident that they would be able to maintain such high-tech equipment?
Well, in my discussions with Commander ISAF and other senior ISAF figures, the decisions about what enablers will be handed over to the Afghans will essentially be a decision by ISAF and the United States. We want to make sure, generally, that they have the resources and the capacity to do the job. But what's most important, in my view, is making sure that we continue through the ongoing mentoring and training that's occurring in other areas and the advice and assistance that's occurring here, that we leave them with the skills that they need. The skills and the expertise is just as, if not more important than the platforms and the enablers. But what we also want to do is to make sure that when transition occurs at the end of December in 2014, that we continue to play some role to give them support.